FC Barcelona have always prided themselves on blending tradition with innovation. But does their spending guarantee success on the field? Today, we dive into the stories of the club's 9 most expensive signings, exploring whether they lived up to the hefty price tags and whether they brought glory or simply added to the weight of expectation. When Barcelona signed Rafinha from Leeds United in the summer of 2022 for around €58 million, a lot of people raised eyebrows. It wasn't just about the fee. Barcelona were knee-deep in financial issues, juggling levers and selling assets just to stay afloat. So spending big on a flashy Brazilian winger, coming from a relegation battle in the Premier League, felt like a gamble. At the time, Rafinha was exciting but inconsistent. Some questioned whether he had the discipline or the end product to truly thrive at a club like Barça, especially with players like Dembélé, Ferran Torres, and Ansu Fati already in the mix. And during his first season, those doubts didn't go away. While he chipped in with goals and assists here and there, he never quite nailed down a role. He was often shuffled around the front line, sometimes benched, and it seemed like the club was already looking to move him on. Premier League clubs were circling, and it felt like he was one of those flashy signings that just didn't stick. But he stayed, and something shifted this season. With a new coach in charge and several attacking changes at the club, Rafinha finally found his rhythm. No more second-guessing, no more trying to fit into a role that didn't suit him. On the right wing, he's been electric, full of confidence, sharp in his decision-making, and deadly in front of goal. The flair is still there, but now it's paired with efficiency. The numbers speak for themselves. Over 20 goals, close to 20 assists, and more than that, a series of clutch performances that helped carry Barça through some of the biggest games of the season. There were matches this year where he didn't just play well, he completely took over. In the Champions League, against top sides like Dortmund and Bayern, he was the difference maker. In La Liga, he's been a constant threat. What once looked like a questionable transfer now looks like one of the smartest moves Barça have made in years. That's why now, heading into the final stretch of the season, there are genuine whispers about Rafinha being in the Ballon d'Or conversation. A year ago, that would have sounded like a joke. Now it makes sense. If Barça go on to win the Champions League and La Liga, and Rafinha continues to lead the way, he'll be right there in the conversation. In 2020, Barcelona made an unexpected move in the transfer market by signing Miralem Pjanic from Juventus in a swap deal involving Arthur Melo. Pjanic, who had established himself as one of the best midfielders in Italy, was seen as the perfect fit for Barcelona's midfield. Known for his incredible passing range, vision, and ability to dictate play from deep, Pjanic was expected to help rejuvenate a Barcelona midfield that was starting to show signs of aging. However, Pjanic's time at Barcelona quickly became one of the most perplexing transfers in recent memory. Despite the excitement surrounding his arrival, things never really clicked for the Bosnian at Camp Nou. His playing style, although elegant and technically sound, didn't seem to fit with the high-paced, intense style Barcelona needed at the time, especially under manager Quique Setién and then Ronald Koeman. Pjanic often found himself on the periphery of the starting lineup, struggling to assert himself in a midfield already filled with experienced players like Sergio Busquets, Frenkie de Jong, and others. While his passing and technical abilities were undeniable, his lack of dynamism and movement off the ball limited his impact in the high-pressing environment that Barcelona was transitioning toward. Instead of becoming the midfield maestro he was expected to be, Pjanic found himself more as a rotational option, failing to lock down a regular place in the team. In 2009, fresh off a treble-winning season under Pep Guardiola, FC Barcelona decided they wanted to add a little more flair, firepower, and, well, Zlatan. So they pulled off one of the most stunning and expensive swaps in football history. They signed Zlatan Ibrahimovic from Inter Milan in a deal worth €69.5 million, including Samuel Eto'o going the other way. Now think about that for a second. Barça had just won the treble with Eto'o scoring in the Champions League final, and they gave him away as part of a deal to get Zlatan. That's how badly they wanted the big Swede. And at first, Zlatan delivered. He hit the ground running, scoring in his first 5 La Liga games, something no Barça player had done before. He was banging in goals, linking well with Lionel Messi, and giving Barcelona a completely different dynamic up top. Height, strength, and that signature Ibra flair. But beneath the surface, tension was bubbling. See, Zlatan Ibrahimovic is a personality. He's not someone who blends into the system. He is the system, or at least that's how he sees it. But Pep Guardiola? The complete opposite. Structure, humility, tactical discipline. It was a clash waiting to happen. And clash they did. According to Zlatan, things went south the moment Messi started playing more centrally. Pep shifted the team to cater to Leo, which, to be fair, worked out for like the next 15 years. But Ibra wasn't having it. He once described the change like this. You bought a Ferrari and drive it like a Fiat. Iconic. Eventually, the relationship between Zlatan and Guardiola completely broke down. The locker room was tense, Zlatan felt sidelined, and Pep stopped talking to him altogether. In Zlatan's words, "He didn't speak to me. Not a word. I'd walk into a room. He'd walk out. I'd go to say hello. He'd avoid me." Oof. Despite scoring 21 goals in his one season with Barcelona and helping them win La Liga, the Club World Cup, UEFA Super Cup, and Spanish Super Cup, Zlatan's time at Camp Nou was short-lived. Just one season. That's it. By 2010, he was loaned out to AC Milan with an option to buy, which they did. And just like that, one of the most hyped signings in Barca history was over before it really even began. So what went wrong? It wasn't the talent. Zlatan had the skills, the goals, the charisma, but it was never a footballing fit. He was a maverick in a system built on collectivism. Guardiola built a team around Messi. Zlatan wanted a team built around Zlatan. And while it was a failed experiment on the pitch, off the pitch, it gave us some of the best footballing drama of the last 2 decades. The quotes, the tension, the what could have beens. In the end, Zlatan would go on to star again in Italy, dominate in France, show up in MLS like a boss, and even return to Milan at age 38 to win another Scudetto. A one-of-a-kind career. As for Barca, they moved on with Messi, with tiki-taka, and with a whole lot less ego up top. In the summer of 2014, Barcelona did something that raised more than a few eyebrows. They spent a massive 82 million euros to sign Luis Suarez from Liverpool, fresh off a season where he'd scored 31 goals and won the Premier League Golden Boot. But this wasn't just any signing. This was coming just weeks after Suarez had made headlines for all the wrong reasons, biting Giorgio Chiellini at the World Cup. Again, yeah, the guy had a history. From the biting incidents to the racism controversy with Patrice Evra, Suarez was easily one of the most divisive figures in football. But he was also undeniably one of the best strikers on the planet. Pure chaos in a number 9 shirt. So Barca made a bet. A big one. They believed in the player behind the drama. At first, he couldn't even play. He served a 4-month ban and had to watch from the sidelines. But when Suarez finally stepped onto the pitch for Barca in October 2014, everything changed. He was a revelation. Right away, he slotted into what would become the most terrifying front 3 football has ever seen. Messi, Suarez, Neymar. MSN. And unlike what many expected, there was zero ego. Suarez played the role of facilitator, finisher, and absolute nightmare for defenders. His link-up with Messi was telepathic. His work rate? Relentless. His goals? Ridiculous. That first season? 25 goals and 20 assists. Not bad for a guy who missed the first 2 months. Oh, and did we mention they won the treble? La Liga, Copa del Rey, Champions League. Suarez scored in the UCL final against Juventus. A classic poacher's goal that showed his knack for big moments. But that was just the beginning. The 2015-16 season was Suarez's personal peak. He scored 59 goals in all competitions. Yes, 59, and became the first player not named Messi or Ronaldo to win the Pichichi since 2009. That season, he also led La Liga in assists. We're talking about a striker who was both the league's top scorer and its best creator. Insane. Across his 6 seasons with Barcelona, Suarez racked up 198 goals and 97 assists in 283 games. He became the club's 3rd highest goal scorer of all time, behind only Messi and Cesar. He won 4 La Liga titles for Copa del Reyes, a Champions League, a Club World Cup, and more. But it wasn't just the trophies. Suarez brought grit. He brought street football energy to a team built on tiki-taka. He was ruthless, hungry, and gave defenders nightmares week in, week out. And yet, the end wasn't pretty. In 2020, under Ronald Koeman and amid Barcelona's financial chaos, the club basically told Suarez he was no longer needed. No big farewell, no send-off, just a cold phone call. He was shipped off to Atletico Madrid for free. Big mistake, because guess what? Suarez went on to win La Liga with Atletico in his first season, scoring 21 goals and proving once again that he was still that guy. The fire never went out. So, was Suarez worth the controversy and the massive transfer fee? Absolutely. He came, he scored, he conquered. He gave Barcelona some of its most unforgettable moments and helped create a front three that may never be replicated. A chaotic genius, a goal-scoring machine, a Barca legend, whether the club gave him a proper farewell or not. But it doesn't stop there for Barcelona. In 2019, they dropped €40 million plus add-ons that make the total to €86 million to sign Frenkie de Jong from Ajax, with hopes that he would be the key to solidifying their midfield for years to come. Known for his vision, composure, and intelligence on the ball, de Jong was seen as the long-term successor to the likes of Sergio Busquets in the center of the park. Early on, his arrival was met with high hopes, but it wasn't always smooth sailing. Under former manager Ernesto Valverde, de Jong often found himself adapting to a new system and adjusting to the weight of playing for one of the biggest clubs in the world. Yet, even in these early struggles, his potential was evident. In the 2020-2021 season, de Jong began to show his worth, becoming one of Barcelona's most consistent and influential players. His ability to control the tempo of the game and pick out incisive passes quickly made him one of their most vital assets. Then, in the 2021-2022 season, things started to click. Under Xavi Hernandez, Barcelona's manager, de Jong found a system that maximized his strengths, and he flourished. His dynamic performances in midfield helped Barcelona to reclaim their place as one of Europe's top teams. He contributed with key assists, crucial interceptions, and his work rate was unmatched. But despite his undeniable quality, questions about his future lingered. As Barcelona continued their rebuild and the club's financial struggles persisted, rumors about de Jong potentially being sold emerged. Will he remain a cornerstone of Barcelona's midfield for the next decade? Or will the uncertainty around the club force him to seek pastures new? It's a tough call, but one thing is for sure. When Frenkie is at his best, he is one of the finest midfielders in Europe. When Barcelona signed Neymar from Santos in 2013 for a reported €57 million, though later investigations suggested the true figure was closer to €88 million, it wasn't just a transfer. It was a seismic moment in football. Neymar wasn't just the next Brazilian wonder kid. He was the guy, the crown jewel of Brazil's new generation. Lightning quick, unbelievably technical, and with swagger for days, he was already being hyped as the heir to players like Ronaldinho and Pelé. Barca didn't just want him, they needed him. Lionel Messi was still at the peak of his powers, but the club was planning for the future. Neymar represented the next face of the team. It was a statement signing, beating out Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, and nearly every other super club that had circled around him for years. And at first, Neymar absolutely delivered. In his debut season, he helped Barcelona win the domestic double, and just a year later, formed one of the most terrifying attacking trios in football history. MSN, Messi, Suarez, Neymar. That 2014-15 season? Iconic. The three combined for 122 goals. Neymar scored 39, including 10 in the Champions League, joint top scorer that season, and was vital in helping Barca win the treble, La Liga, Copa del Rey, and Champions League. Neymar had arrived. He wasn't just some flashy winger doing stepovers for the highlights. He was cold in the big moments. That goal against Juventus in the UCL final? Pure class. The winner against PSG in that historic 6-1 remontada in 2017? Legendary. In fact, Neymar was the star of that comeback. 2 goals, and an assist in just 7 minutes of chaos. That was supposed to be the game that passed the torch from Messi to Neymar. But that's not how it played out. Despite all the success, Neymar reportedly grew tired of living in Messi's shadow. He wanted to be the man, not just part of the trio. So, in a move that shook the football world, Neymar triggered his €222 million release clause, the largest transfer fee ever, and joined PSG in 2017. And that's where the legacy gets complicated. His time at Barca was short, just 4 seasons, but packed with trophies, goals, magic, and unforgettable moments. 105 goals, 76 assists, 8 trophies, including a Champions League. Yet because he left so suddenly and under such controversial circumstances, some fans feel he abandoned what could have been a truly historic career at Barcelona. He could have been the one to eventually take the mantle from Messi. He could have gone down as an all-time club legend. Instead, his name is often followed by what-ifs. Still, Neymar's impact at Barca is undeniable. His talent was generational. His highlights are still replayed to this day. And that MSN trio, it's already become myth. So, was the Neymar signing a success? On the pitch, 100%. Off the pitch, a bit messy, eh? But football rarely deals in perfect stories. And even if his chapter of Barcelona was brief, it was electric. And that's more than most can say. Next up, a player who became synonymous with Barca's pursuit of a new era, Antoine Griezmann. Signed in 2019 for a staggering €120 million. Many believe that the Frenchman would be the missing piece in the attacking puzzle. At the time, Griezmann was a proven world-class talent, fresh off a World Cup victory with France, and had been one of Atletico Madrid's most consistent players. But when he arrived at Barcelona, expectations were sky high. However, his time at Barca didn't exactly go as planned. His first season was underwhelming, with the 29-year-old struggling to adapt to Barcelona's possession-heavy style of play. Many pointed to the challenge of fitting him into an already packed attacking lineup, with Lionel Messi, Luis Suarez, and Ousmane Dembélé all vying for positions. Despite the struggles, Griezmann never stopped working. He showcased his versatility by dropping deeper into midfield at times and improving his link-up play. His best season came in 2020 to 2021, where he scored 20 goals and provided 12 assists in all competitions. While he wasn't the superstar Barcelona hoped for, he was still a valuable contributor. But in the end, Griezmann's move to Barcelona would be one marked by inconsistency. His transfer to Atletico Madrid in 2021, on loan with a permanent option, felt like a sad but inevitable conclusion to a story that never fully delivered. Still, was Griezmann worth the €120 million price tag? It's a tough call. His moments of brilliance showed flashes of his world-class ability. But in the end, the full promise of his move was never realized at Barcelona. One thing is certain, though. He left a mark, but perhaps not the one that fans had hoped for. With expectations often sky-high at Barcelona, some signings carry an extra weight, and not all can live up to the hype. One such case was Ousmane Dembélé, who arrived in 2017 for a hefty €105 million, making him one of the most expensive signings in Barcelona's history at the time. Having dazzled in Germany with Borussia Dortmund, Dembélé was seen as the future of Barcelona's attack, especially following the departure of Neymar. His incredible dribbling, speed, and creativity made him the perfect candidate to fit into Barcelona's fluid attacking system. But things weren't so simple for the French winger. Injuries quickly began to take their toll, and Dembélé's time at Barcelona was repeatedly interrupted by long spells on the sidelines. Despite flashes of brilliance, where he reminded fans of the player who had lit up the Bundesliga, Dembélé struggled to find consistency in his performances. His form dipped, and his future at Barcelona was questioned multiple times. His early years at the club became defined by potential that was yet to be fully realized. However, under Xavi Hernandez's guidance, things began to shift. Dembélé's game matured, and his performances started to match the promise he had shown years earlier. In the 2021 to 2022 season, he finally started to hit his stride, becoming a key player for Barcelona with his explosive pace and dangerous dribbling. His ability to create chances and provide assists made him one of the club's most important attacking outlets. By 2023, Dembélé had cemented himself as a vital part of Barcelona's offense, and it became clear that the club's gamble on him might finally pay off. But despite his increased importance, Dembélé's time at Barcelona was never without controversy. His frequent injury setbacks and his inconsistent form in the early years made it difficult for fans to completely embrace him. Yet, as Barcelona began their rebuilding process and Dembélé grew into his role, the price tag began to feel more justified. Was he worth the 105 million euros? Well, absolutely not. For every injury-plagued season, there were moments of magic that showcased exactly why Barcelona had invested so heavily in him. Making an impact at Barcelona is never easy, especially when the weight of expectation is so high. But when Barcelona signed Philippe Coutinho in 2018 for a then-record 160 million euros, it was supposed to be the catalyst for a new era of success. The Brazilian had already proven himself at Liverpool, dazzling with his dribbling, vision, and incredible long-range shots. Barcelona saw him as the perfect addition to their attacking midfield, and with the departure of Andres Iniesta, many believed that Coutinho could be the player to step into the iconic number 10 role. But, much like some of the Galacticos in Madrid, Coutinho's story in Barcelona didn't unfold as planned. He initially impressed with some key moments, scoring the Champions League and contributing to Barcelona's La Liga title win in 2019. But over time, the Brazilian struggled to adapt to Barcelona's style of play, finding it difficult to replicate the form that made him one of Europe's top talents. In his second season, his struggles intensified. Coutinho's performances were inconsistent, and soon, fans began questioning whether he was truly the right fit for Barcelona. The pressure mounted, and after a loan spell at Bayern Munich in 2020, where he surprisingly played a role in Bayern's historic treble-winning season, it became clear that the move was ultimately a failure. Barcelona cut their losses and allowed Coutinho to return to England on loan before a permanent transfer to Aston Villa in 2022. Was the 160 million euro price tag justified? Not by a long shot. The promise of a world-class playmaker never fully materialized, and Barcelona ultimately ended up with a player who never lived up to expectations. Despite his magical moments, the overall impact was far less than the club had hoped. And there you have it, Barcelona's priciest signings, the ones that made headlines, broke records, and, in some cases, broke hearts. From world-class talent to big-money risks, these transfers have shaped the club's modern identity in more ways than one. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to smash that like button, drop a comment letting us know which signing you think was worth every penny, and which one, not so much. And of course, make sure to subscribe for more deep dives into football's biggest stories. Until next time, Visca Barca!